Hello and welcome to another episode of The Leong Form with me, Hosean.
And Stanley.
All right, welcome to the show because now from the hockey field to the hospital ward and now the halls of Parliament, our guest today has worn many hats, but all in the service of one goal, helping people.
He is a psychiatrist, a community volunteer, and now he is Singapore's Senior Parliamentary Secretary for both the Ministry of Education as well as the Ministry of National Development.
We're talking about Dr Syed Harun Alhabsyi, who many might remember as a former NMP during his term. He spoke passionately about mental health, youth opportunities, and social cohesion, and then surprised many people when he decided to step down saying, I want to serve Singapore and Singaporeans at a deeper level.
So today, we'll find out what that deeper level is, what it really means, and how he connects the dots between mental health, education, housing, and hope. That's a lot of dots to connect. We'll also be hearing about his personal journey growing up in Bedok Reservoir, and that's also being the eldest of four he is, how his family story also of perseverance in education in later years have shaped his own calling to serve.
And he's also Singapore's first and only Malay Muslim psychiatrist, a title that carries both pride and pressure. And we'll explore his work in the mental health sphere and how it informs his perspective on leadership, resilience, and community building. Now, from saving one starfish at a time to shaping policies that touch thousands, Dr. Harun's story is about helping people bridging heart and head, empathy and action.
That's right. So what keeps him grounded then? What fuels his fire to keep serving? And what does he hope for Singapore's youth and families as we navigate a future together? Good to have you on the Leong Form, Harun. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Very long, your introduction.
Yeah, a very generous introduction, I must say.
Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Before we go and delve deep into the deeper levels of what we're going to talk about, we're going to warm up a little bit. Okay, since we've got a doctor in the house, very, very rare, we're going to shoot some rapid fire questions at you. And we're going to ask you whether it's myth or medicine. And after you answer it, just give us a little succinct, like one sentence, why. Okay.
Let's give it a go.
Yeah. And we're going to go. I'm going to start first. Psychiatrists need therapy more than their patients do. Myth or medicine?
Rapid fire.
Okay. Medicine. Yeah. I think, psychiatrists are human as well. I don't think it means that we're any less vulnerable to mental health concerns.
Good.
All right. A good workout at the gym solves more problems than a therapy session. Myth or medicine?
Yes. So medicine, I think, we don't pay attention to preventive health as often as we should individually. I think a good workout, probably goes a long way in terms of helping us with our health.
Right. Good on you, Hosean.
All right. Well, I'm going to the gym every day, okay?
I know.
Nice.
Until my gym instructor said, can you stop going every day? You need to rest. I'm like, okay. You can tell if someone needs help by just looking at them. Myth or medicine?
Myth. Yeah. I think one of the first few slides I usually put forward when I'm giving a talk is that we cannot read minds. So really it's about understanding the person for who they are as individuals. And I think to be able to look at someone and think you know the person is really a fallacy.
We're deeper than, we're more than skin deep, if you like.
Certainly.
Playing team sports makes you better at handling difficult people. Myth or medicine?
Medicine. Yeah, I mean, team sports, and I think I'm happy to share about sports further down. I think sports really brings out a lot of your own character, your own resilience, your own person. And certainly it gives you an avenue to be able to get to know a bit more of yourself as well as others.
Cool. All right. Fine. Last two questions, okay? Now, the hardest patient to treat is yourself.
Tough questions.
Yeah, that's very tricky,
Yeah.
You came up with it.
Yeah.
So bad.
Medicine. I think at the end of the day, all of us need help once in a while. And I think having a different lens to be able to look at yourself, your challenges, your vulnerabilities will always be better.
All right. Final question. The best mental health advice is the simplest, which is just talk to someone.
I think that's true. Medicine.
Yeah.
So the first port of call is really your social support if you want to seek help for anything at all.
Now that's really, really good to know because a lot of people don't talk about it.
Yeah.
They have nobody to talk to, or
bottle it up
they think
inside.
they have no one to talk to, right? Well, thank you for that. Now we get to
thank
know a
you.
little bit more about what's going on and we've set the stage. Let's delve deeper.
We shall. Okay. So let's start with, I suppose, childhood, where you grew up, which was, we did some research. It was Bedok Reservoir up in the northeast, if you like. The eldest of four also that you are. And you had parents who didn't do the degrees, right from after secondary school, then pre-U, then university. In fact, they held that later part of education further back until more in the later years of their lives. So how has that perhaps shaped your own values around education?
I think education is actually a very powerful enabler for any person or any family. You're right that, and you've done your research, certainly. My parents actually did their post-secondary education much later. So my dad did his diploma with the support of his employers in his 50s.
Wow,
and my mom did her degree with the support of her employers as well in her 40s. So that was really, lifelong learning for them. Yeah. But the emphasis on us as children, and there were four of us, I'm the eldest of four, was that education is extremely important. There was always that emphasis, you could do many mistakes and do many naughty things, but when it came to education, it was quite firm that needed to be an emphasis and never let up on it. And I think within a generation, from from my parents' generation to my siblings, all four of us finished with degrees before we continued on to work and to build our families. So that really shifted us quite a fair bit.
Your path, though, to obtain your degree wasn't as straightforward as it was, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
To be honest, I never grew up thinking about wanting to become a doctor. That wasn't in my line of sight.
Okay. What was it you wanted to be, actually?
Right out of A-levels, when I made the application for university, I wanted to go to arts and social science in NUS. And I got the spot. And I thought, because I wasn't sure what I was going to do, I felt FASS was broad enough. I was inquisitive in terms of wanting to see what it offered as far as experiences go. And it was only in my second year of national service that I thought I should consider medicine.
Wow.
At the behest of my mom, right? Because education is very important. Give your best. I had reasonable grades out of A-levels, and I put in an application for medicine. In fact, it was my second try that I got into medicine. So then that really just took a life of its own. Medicine was tough, wasn't easy, and then subsequent to that, then I made some decisions with regards to specialty training and so on.
Oh,
Right.
So it was not always straightforward.
yeah. It wasn't like this was my path, right? You had to do a bit of turning points,
That's
as
right.
we say.
But even though the first application failed,
Yes.
you proceeded to stick at it, and pursue that path that you wanted to chart.
That's right. I think some level of resilience there also because in the first instance when I made the application, it was because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So FASS was first, medicine was second, and then law was third. So I know it's a bit of an unorthodox application process.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to see myself as going into the educational pathway, maybe perhaps become a teacher, be inspired by those who have inspired me before.
Okay.
And being a doctor or professional in that sense was last on my mind. Only because my mom said, give it a go. Then I thought the second year I should put in a bit more in terms of the application process. I was active in sports. I had some leadership experience in school, and I sort of packaged it to be able to present myself a bit better. And then I got the interview, and that was how it went.
And you packaged it without the help of AI back then.
That's true. That's true. I don't know how people package it these days.
Probably AI.
But the AI then was really mentors, people who could give you the experience, seniors. But that was also where we built relationships across.
Yeah, we were talking about sports, you said earlier
Yes.
on, right? And let's take you back to your school days when you were a star hockey player.
Star hockey. I wouldn't say star. I mean, I don't know where you got that research from.
I just put the word star lah, just for fun. Now, so what lessons from the hockey field can you bring to the sphere that you are in now at work? Because a lot of people always say sports, your working life, your professional life, there is some sort of synergy. So what kind of lessons can you bring, do you bring to your work?
I think that as far as sports, CCAs, lessons outside the classroom is concerned, I believed, and this was at a very young age, that there were many lessons there for me. So in terms of the camaraderie, in terms of the brotherhood or the teamwork on the sporting field, especially in secondary school, where we really wanted to represent our school and do well for our team. That really stuck for me even till today. So till today, the team that I played with, many of us across the years actually come back for social hockey and we participate in the men's league today. So it does form lifelong bonds that has lasted 20, 30 years now. So that's one. But what remains a memory for me, a very distinct memory, was that of resilience and perseverance. I mean, I won't name him, but my coach, I would say Coach B, Mr. B.
Okay.
He was quite harsh on us as far as training was concerned. Really with a view of wanting to bring out the best in us as a team as well as individuals. So in perseverance, you always thought that, okay, that's it. I've got nothing left in the tank. And then a coach comes in and say, no, you've got a bit more, right? And then some. So I think, and we really squeezed us quite a fair bit as a team as well as individuals. But you see that, in that space, the next challenge you face, the next difficulty you have, you really make it a point to be able to steer the course, have patience, calibrate, have the sense of mind to be able to look at the challenge and the situation and see what else you've got in the tank to give.
Sounds very similar to military, right?
Yeah, I was thinking of PTIs when you were describing Mr. B.
Come on, you can do it more push-ups.
Well, in some sense, that's also the value of NS.
Right.
That, sometimes I went into national service wondering whether, how I would cope with it, right? But I think you really come out with the appropriate support, the appropriate mentorship, guidance. You come out stronger. And that's been my lesson when I was in national service.
Oh, I just went straight to PES F, so...
Okay.
King.
But Harun was actually a military doctor. Did you know that? Prior to him going into private practice and all, he was actually a doctor in the military. I think that's very little known fact about yourself, right?
That's right. So life, how I see it is always like a meandering river. And after I finished medical school, I gave it some thought as to whether I wanted to pursue medicine fully in the wards and only that alone, or I wanted something more in terms of the experience and how to apply medicine in different environments. So I actually signed on to the military only later.
Oh, okay.
So call it a bit of a mid-career in a way. And also with a view to pursue psychiatry. And also to be able to bring my knowledge as a medical doctor into the field. So for doctors, you would know that we go into national service after we're done with medical school to be able to help with the medical system in the military. And I took the decision to sign on thereafter and then pursued a career with the military for about almost slightly more than a decade.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for about 10 years. Yeah.
And then after that, you started your own clinic, is it? Oh.
That's right. So while I was while we are military doctors, you also still pursue your specialist training. So there are psychiatrists, there are surgeons, there are specialists within the military fold. But we also found in the hospitals as well. So I pursued that for a bit. And then subsequent to that, then I stepped out into my own private practice.
Right.
And then from private practice, you're pretty much a very active community volunteer. You were an NMP, we all recall, and then you're now a political leader. So let's talk about those turning points for you to want to wade deeper into the political arena. And right at the start, you also said you want to serve people at a deeper level. So explain that to us.
I think, when you look back, or when I do my own reflections, I always feel that my own success doesn't come on the back of my effort alone. right? That it does take a village to raise a child. It takes a system to be able to enable people to succeed. It doesn't slip me, and it's always a constant reminder that, hey, with every success, what else, contributed to that? And with that in mind, I always feel that, coming to where I'm at currently, whether as a medical professional or now as a senior parliamentary secretary, how then do I contribute back to the community that's given so much? So that's always the lens that I take. In a way, it's also to be accountable to your blessings, right? So with the blessing of youth and the energy that you have, you also want to make sure that, with the energy that you have, what can you give to be able to contribute back to society? If, say, you happen to be a business owner and you're doing very well in terms of profits, what else can you give back to society? And that's carried with me. So whether it be time, whether it be knowledge, whether it be energy, and it's always stuck through, whether it be in school, whether it be early in my professional years. So I contributed to a few charities in terms of time, in terms of the board, committees. And I just see that as an extension. Subsequent to that, NMP, and then now as a political office holder.
Does any of that come from a place perhaps where you may have also been on the receiving end of support along the way, along the route of growing up through school, through life, that you also realize that it's time to also return that same blessing to other people after you?
Yes, certainly. And I think I wouldn't say there was any turning point per se. For me in university, it wouldn't have been possible for me to complete my medical studies without some subsidies that were made available for myself and my family. Subsequent to that, working in the people sector with some of the charities, then you also recognize that, hey, actually, I've been a benefit of the mentorship or the wisdom of those before me. The charity that I used to lead has been around for 60 years, supporting education for the community. And I start to realize that, hey, actually, it's not just me, but many people, generations before, have benefited from the contributions of others, whether it be in terms of directly to fund their studies, but also their gift of time, their gift of wisdom, and I extrapolate that to even the leaders of Singapore before us. So I think then it befalls all of us to then be able to continue that legacy, to be able to make Singapore a better place, and to be able to give opportunity to the youth and our future generations to have the privilege of what we already have been blessed with. Yeah, so that's really how I see it. Life is short, in medicine, you're confronted sometimes with the fragility of life as well. And in my mind, there's no better time than now, rather than to wait till, I'll do this when things are better or when the storms are done and I'm really steadying a cruise ship before I look back. I think sometimes we think too far and we assume we can plan too far ahead. But actually, it's okay. Just live in the now, contribute in the present, and see where it takes you. And that's been the ethos.
So let's take you back then, because you're talking about, some how do you save people or how do you help people. When you ran your own clinic, the Starfish Clinic,
yes,
because it's saving one starfish at a time, right? Yes. You can't save everybody. There must have been cases where was hard for you. Do you have any stories of that because you're trying to help people, but then sometimes things don't go that way? Do you have something to share with us from that experience?
I think in as much as I'm aspirational in terms of wanting to save the entire beach of starfish, right? I'm also pragmatic in terms of how I approach it. And it doesn't always have to be that, me as the doctor be the only one who can save, right? We work as a team. We make sure that we build on our system. And part of the entire process of wanting to help others must also be that you recognize that you also have your own limitations. And where you hit a certain wall, or you find that it's not possible, that you lean on to others to be able to help any particular case or any particular patient.
So then where does Harun go when he needs that help? Yeah.
Specific to say medical,
Yeah.
it's always important to make sure you have that support network of fellow professionals who are here to be able to support, right? So as a psychiatrist, I lean on other psychiatrists for their wisdom as well.
Okay.
You also lean on psychologists, allied health, and we recognize that it takes a team to be able to support our patients and our clients. But I'm wondering whether you also have another question as to if I need help for anything, where do I get my support?
Yeah, I mean, professionally, yes, right?
Yes.
You have that. But then when you alone at home or you're at office and you're going like, I can't take this, man. What do you do?
So I like to go for a run.
Okay.
I like to exercise, but that's within what I can do. But I'm also conscious that I also need to build my own support network and support structure. So sometimes I lean on my wife to just ask, for her advice, for her wisdom, family members, close friends, and also fellow professionals, not in a clinical sense in terms of advice, but also to seek out mentors and guidance, because whatever struggles you may face, the people around you or people who have gone through the path would have struggled in some shape or form. Might be unique to you in that instance. But I think we should also have the humility to be able to say, okay, maybe I'm a bit out of my depth. Maybe I'm up to my neck at this point of time. And I just need a sense of how can I swim moving forward. And I think that takes a certain level of consciousness, awareness, mindfulness as well at how you're doing. And that I think has been the gift of psychiatry for me.
Yeah.
That sense of awareness in terms of dealing with my own struggles from time to time.
Oh, that's great.
So how has this gift of psychiatry, if you like, enabled you to also perform the current roles that you have as Senior Parliamentary Secretary for two ministries?
Okay, so again, that's quite a layered question. So
Yeah, we're like kuih lapis, very layered.
yeah,
right?
yeah. Do you have some? Okay, kuih lapis is one of my favorites. Kuih.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So at a personal level, I think with the life experiences I've had in terms of it can be quite challenging. There are long days as an MP as well as a senior parliamentary secretary, and I think that sense of mindfulness, awareness of your own limits, knowing when to take a break, how to pace, that's been helpful as a knowledge base. But specific to education, say, in the scope of the areas of focus for me in the ministry, relating to special needs, mental well-being, I think having the background as a professional who's been in the space before has been helpful. Of course, in terms of doing policy work, it's slightly different. But I think that lens is also helpful in my discussions with the policymakers in MOE, our fellow civil servants, and I think it helps me take a bit more of an informed view of the space.
Right. All right. So your background, as we all very familiar, spanning medicine, you've done community work, now in government. Let's talk about any unique perspectives, perhaps, that you have, given this combination that you bring to policy making, like you say, in education as well as in M&D, so pertaining to housing, I suppose.
I've always my own background has been quite eclectic actually. It's been a bit all over the place. With it kind of speaks to my curiosity as a person. That when I have conversations with people, whether they be my residents, whether they be civil servants in the ministry, whether they be with the both of you, there's a certain curiosity about others, where they come from, what's their background, and that curiosity I bring to my work in the ministry. The curiosity also means that I take a view of wanting to understand the assumptions behind certain policy, and wanting to be able to then clarify whether those assumptions may hold still, and whether policy shifts may be necessary. So, for example, in the context of the Ministry of Education, I think the positioning of the ministry as far as special education, special needs are concerned is a lot more nuanced now. We do take a nuanced view in terms of the needs of our students, especially, so it's a wide range, right? It comes as a spectrum. And for those who are in the moderate to severe range, we do want to make sure that there's a special curriculum around that to be able to support their needs. But there are also those who actually can flourish in the mainstream schools. And I think we're taking steps towards enabling our teachers to have that awareness, that knowledge base, relating to special educational needs and the spectrum of needs our students may require. And that's what we hope to be able to build in our schools, so that there's opportunity to be able to engage with the different abled students in our school system. And you see that in the other slew of changes as well, right? Whether it be in terms of how we navigate PSLE results from the T-score to what it is now.
Yes.
How we have done full subject-based banding. And these were done before I came to the ministry. And I thought, wow, in the past, never would I have thought that such changes would come. But it speaks to the desire of the government to be able to look at previous assumptions, see whether they continue to hold, have conversations with our teachers, our schools, our parents, our population, and see how best can we then navigate this future together.
Evolve according to how the world is going, how it benefits us. I mean, you speak about education now.
Yes.
How do you see it help with social mobility?
Wow, where do I start? I think education is one of the key, if not the key enabler to be able to pivot social mobility. If we get it right in our education system, if we inspire hope in every child, regardless of their station in life, regardless of their background, that there is opportunity for them to succeed, then what happens from there is that social mobility can flourish. There are a few different anchor points here. You have access to a good education regardless of which school you go to. So that's one point. And that means that every child, regardless of your family background, has the opportunity for a good education. Now, subsequent to that as well, all of us develop differently at different trajectories. Some of us do well in PSLE, some of us do well in N-levels, O-levels, some of us start really emerging into a period of success in our studies, say in our ITs, in our polys, in universities. You find that there's a lot of porosity to enter into different phases of our education system. And now we're also pushing towards lifelong learning, to recognize that just where it used to be perhaps a bit more fixed in terms of the trajectory of your education, now it's a lot more porous for you to be able to move. And if you bloom slightly later, no worries. You've got another trajectory towards success.
I think I'm still blooming.
All of us are. All of us are. Yeah. I mean, I see even where I'm at currently as a senior parliamentary secretary, I still see it as a journey of growth.
That's great.
I still see it as an opportunity to bloom, and I still see that I mean, the day we stop learning should only be once life is done.
To stop breathing,
right?
So truly, it's a lifelong journey, and we want everyone to be able to see that. But where it fits into social mobility is that people see that through this effort, they still have every chance at success.
It's more holistic the way things are being done now.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's not just the individual or perhaps a family in that sense who might be nudging you to continue learning something new or use your skills future credits and learn something.
I haven't finished mine yet.
But I would like to go back also to that earlier point you made about how your parents' employers had also, paved the way, allowed them to be able to take up the programs that they did while they were working, and that will be in the later years of life as well.
Yes.
So we really need everyone on board. I mean, employers must be able to give them that space, that opportunity to upgrade themselves. It's not just about us, but we need more support around us as well to do that.
That's right. That's right. So you see that in recent years, as far as policies go, and I've noted this during my time as an NMP as well, that when it comes to opportunities for our workers to want to pursue studies, to upgrade themselves, you see that some aspects of the policy have changed to be able to nudge that in the right direction. These are structures. But in terms of the spirit, and the whether people believe that that's possible or not, that part, I think, as a community, we want to be able to shape that behavior as a whole. Beyond that, I think, while we speak of it from an educational lens, it is also the case that for a child to succeed, we must make sure that the home environment is stable, that that in terms of the opportunity for stable housing, social support is also there. For a child to go to school regularly, it must also mean that both parents can also feel comfortable in terms of the work support that they have, the social support, the finances. So it's really not a piecemeal approach we're taking. We're trying to look at it from a holistic perspective. And in part, that's also the other portfolio that I do in MND, relating to whether it be rental housing, where people aspire to home ownership, to find stability for their family, especially the young families, in terms of the availability of Comlink Plus, the family coaches giving some level of mentoring to be able to guide some of the families towards their aspirations, not only for the parents, but also for the next generation. So in some sense, my portfolios in MOE and MND are quite synergistic in a way. We have similar conversations over the importance of education as well as stable housing, stability in the family. And that's also been a learning journey for me as well. Something that psychiatry maybe didn't teach me either. Yeah.
Prior to, of course, becoming an MP through GE 2025, you were an NMP, and during which time you were really also very busy. You filed adjournment motions on a wide range of matters, from foreign policy to mental health care to creating opportunities
Very diverse,
for youth to thrive, to social cohesion, which we just talked a little bit about, to taking a whole of society approach to addressing discrimination as well. Let's talk about how you're able to continue to put these through. I mean, given that you already have been assigned the portfolios of education and national development to some extent, there may be some of these other issues that you still feel very passionate about, but maybe you have just less opportunity to push for them. Do you feel any of that sort of?
I don't think so, actually. I think there's now more avenues to be able to speak to some of the issues. It's interesting because say, for example, on the topic of social cohesion in our residential estates, right? And having filed that adjournment motion, now, I am an elected MP. I am confronted with the layered aspects of that particular issue. And I am endeavoring to making sure that social cohesion continues to be in our midst. I'm thinking of ways, and I have the latitude to be able to bring communities together within my residential estate, say. And what more, because my portfolio now is in an MND. I interface with our HDB colleagues, I interface with our URA colleagues. How then do we plan spaces such that it continues to strengthen social cohesion in our midst? And I find that it's really an extension of what I used to do in a way. I mean, the table is flipped in a way now, because I'm kind of at the receiving end of what I asked for as an NMP, which is quite an interesting quandary to be in. But I see it as a journey. Again, I think it remains a privilege for me to be able to serve Singaporeans in this capacity, and I do take it very seriously to be able to see how best we can shift, shape, change Singapore into the social fabric that we envision for ourselves.
Because we are such a diverse, country culturally. Yet we are living shoulder to shoulder, literally, in HDB flats and whatever. So this inevitably there'll be tension. And so how are we working all that out? Is there are there formulas, are there plans, I don't know, how is it done on that level?
I guess when we look at policy, it's also important for us to consider that diversity and to find unity in that space, right? But it cannot be that if you don't practice it every day, that you expect that when a crisis happens or when there's a flashpoint, that it comes naturally to you. So the intent must be that there is opportunity by design that we can mix with one another. And sometimes we don't think about it, but at the level of policy, at the level of the ministry, we do give it some thought in terms of the design of our HDB blocks, of our common spaces. How do we allow for more opportunities? Whether they be in our HDB blocks, whether they be in our hawker centres, whether they be in our community spaces. These are things which we want to be able to do even better, so that in your everyday, you interact with a variety of people who are different from you. And if, say, in those spaces, you do find that, okay, I notice there's a bit of a tension, there's a bit of a difference, and you continue to work through it, and you see each other as human beings, as fellow Singaporeans, then when there's a flashpoint, your automatic thought to that would be that, okay, this is a fellow Singaporean, we're all on the same side, this is our home together.
Yeah.
How can we, look past our differences and see how we can meet in the middle? Certainly, it's always a conversation over where the common spaces are. If everyone wants to stick to the narrative that, it's 100% me and I'm not going to give in, then there will only be one result where people are teared apart at the polls. And I've spoken about this. In fact, my maiden speech in this parliament before I took on SPS was really on the importance of that social fabric and always thinking about the concept of we first. And I think if we truly embrace it, we won't lose ourselves in terms of our own identity. Certainly not.
It's very interesting that you brought this up because I never thought of it as, because it's very constructed kind of system, yet it's organic at the same time because we plan the HDB, we plan the quota, I think, right? There is how many, whatever. But then in the meantime, once you throw that into the pot, hopefully everything organically becomes cohesive. Is that how it works?
Okay. I would say, this is my view.
Okay.
Yeah? I would say that it needs a bit of both. Right? Leave it to chance. And we have many examples around the world to be able to tell us that societies can fracture and we can pull it apart.
Very quickly, some more.
Very quickly. And what more in the world of social media, where information moves at lightning speed before people can even process what's going on, where untruths are continuing to flourish, and people take actions on account of that. So more than ever, we need to be able to make sure we buttress ourselves as a society against such vulnerabilities. And we have many examples around the world. And I think we have been blessed as a society that the wisdom of policy from before us have taken a bit more of an active approach towards wanting to make sure that there are some structures in place to make sure that we don't pull ourselves apart. Of course, some people may have other things to say about that, how we do it the Singaporean way, but we take it uniquely for ourselves because this is currently our situation. We're a very small country, a little red dot, and there's very many people. All it takes is a match in a haystack, and really things can be very difficult for us.
And we've had quite violent pasts already before, back in the 60s and all that. Yeah,
that's right. So to your question, I think, is it like 100% foolproof? Certainly not.
Yeah.
But do we have to keep working on it? Certainly we should and we must. And the variables always change, right?
Sure.
And therefore, we need to make sure that we continue to work hard at it, continue to build the cohesive society that we hope to be in.
And these variables that you talk about sometimes are also external variables, the geopolitical situation, circumstances, neighboring or even further away from Singapore. In fact, I think we've seen community coming together. For instance, the conflict in Gaza, and I believe you do have an anecdote to share about how were there some young children involved who decided they want to do something, lend some help to our friends in Gaza.
I see. You be referring to the time in one of my Meet the People sessions.
I believe so.
Where it was Kaylin, if I'm not wrong. So in the busyness of the MPS, there was this young girl who was celebrating her birthday in the coming weekend, and she came to give my volunteers some cupcakes. We did have an encounter before that in one of my market visits, and I think I visited their home before. So she was sharing that as part of her birthday celebration, instead of having like a big birthday bash and so on, what she did was she did giving.sg, either giving.sg or GoFundMe website to raise funds for the victims in Gaza. And I thought, wow, for such a young individual to have a care about things happening around the world, And on top of that, it made me wonder, the values that the parents were teaching their kids, to be able to think beyond yourself, to appreciate the privileges that you have in Singapore, and how we should take effort. Perhaps Gaza is one example in this particular case, but I also see very many examples within the community that I serve in Nee Soon Link, where many selfless individuals give a part of themselves for community, and that is really the type of approach we want to be able to take. That it comes across organically. I would argue it didn't come by chance, right? It takes a lot of effort. There's some structure there.
Yep.
We enable for that to happen. But I also believe in the good spirit of good people to be able to really take advantage of the structures and then give a bit of themselves to make society better. So it comes together. The government cannot have all the solutions.
Yeah.
We really need the people to be able
Community.
to contribute and the community to come together. And I guess the third arm is also the private sector that also plays a very important role. And together we can, really harness the potential of society.
Let's talk about volunteerism then, because we're talking about coming together, helping. You've been so busy volunteering all your life. How do we get Singaporeans to go, okay, you know what? I am going to step out of my comfort zone and volunteer for causes or something that I believe in? Because one example, it was during COVID, for example. We were all stuck indoors.
Yes.
But the time where we could go out, we volunteered with TWC, I think, the migrant workers, because we keep complaining about, you ferry them around in lorries and all that, and mistreatment or whatever. Then what are we doing about it? Like, help them, right? So I felt that gave us a sense of calm, a sense of we are helping, we're doing something about it. So how can we encourage Singaporeans to just say, all right, let's do something about it? Because Singaporeans like, don't want, very apathetic. A lot
Where
of us.
got time?
Exactly. Where got time?
Okay.
Put food on my table.
I would shift the frame a bit in the sense that, sometimes we talk about volunteering as something that must be quite grand, something that you can see tangibly. But I would argue that sense of sacrifice for others actually is well within the capacity of each and every one of us. Parents give a great deal of sacrifice for their children. It doesn't mean that you have to volunteer with a charity before you call it volunteerism, right? So each of us actually have the agency to be able to make a difference in someone else's life. If you happen to be the one who's not, say, going to TWC or another community to be able to give that time in terms of that you can measure by hours or donate in a certain way, recognize that actually you are also doing a great deal for the people around you. So volunteering, in a nutshell, should start at home.
Okay.
If you don't have that capacity, of course, if you're a billionaire and you have very many things at your disposal, then you are kind of accountable to that blessing, and then try to make sure you make a bit more of a difference. But each and every one of us have in our capacity to make a difference where we can. And if it so is the case that at that point of time you might be struggling with a little something, and you find that, okay, I don't quite have that capacity today because I'm focused on my studies, I'm taking my exams, or it's a bit tight with the family, it's okay. I think each and every one of us have certain capacities, and there are times where I might be struggling with something else, and therefore there's a bit less to give that day. We need to be also kind in that regard, and
kind to ourselves also.
Kind to ourselves, yeah. So it's okay.
Yeah.
You can start at home, start it small.
Yeah, that's
just like the little girl who came to my MPS. Within the limits of what you have, and as that grows, as your capacity grows, as you have more, just remember that if you have more to give, then take the opportunity to
That's
do a bit
great
more.
advice though, because people, when we see volunteer, people immediately go to like, I got to go and do big things, you know. But starting at home is a really, really good point. Yeah.
I suddenly have a bonus myth and medicine question.
What?
Oh dear.
We must be in a good place before we can volunteer. Myth or medicine?
I would say
myth.
It's a myth. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because sometimes you might not feel good enough or whatever you're going through, but you volunteer and then it might heal you.
Yes.
Yeah. Haha.
Are you trying to be a psychiatrist? Yeah.
Trust me, no, I don't give advice one.
And okay, I think you struck on a good point, right? Sometimes when we talk about volunteering, the assumption is that the volunteer is giving to the person receiving that effort. But actually, there are many things unseen that comes back to you, you know.
Yeah.
And you grow in the process.
It's intangible one.
Very much so, very much so. Yeah. And similarly, you know, in the role that I have today as SPS, some people might feel that, oh, okay, yeah, this is SPS and he's giving his time and, you know, you're contributing and you're the one who should be doing this, doing that. But really, I mean, at a very personal level, I feel that this journey of service to the country also informs me a great deal as a person. I learn in the process through my interactions with my residents, with my community volunteers, with the civil servants. These are individuals who also give a lot of themselves to others, to Singapore society, and I see it as my privilege to be able to work alongside.
And let's talk about the residents that you have alluded to, and they are from Nisun GRC.
Yes.
you're one of the MPs there. So spill the beans for us on some of the gems. I mean, for those of us who don't or have not lived or interacted or visited
In
that
Nisun?
part of Nisun or Yishun.
Why do you laugh? Was it?
No, I mean it's fun to have that kind of I wouldn't say scapegoat lah. No lah. I mean, you know, all the stories about Nisun and all that.
Yeah,
but then it's,
but I'm sure apart from all those, you know, things that are
should do a Netflix series
certain impressions of Nisun. I'm sure there's some winsome characteristics or unique gems about Nisun that we are actually not aware of that you could spill the beans on.
I love Nisun. Yeah, it's. I think the space is incredible actually in the sense that I've got new blocks coming up.
Good.
And so that there are young families coming in, but we also see because it's a mature estate and very much so. You see elderly coming together as communities, doing brisk walking, meeting one another. Ever so often, from time to time, I meet a 90-year-old who's staying with her family and like walking, you know, no walking stick, nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, more than double my age. And I'm like, oh, wow, you know, I wish I could age so gracefully, you know. And what strikes me about Nisun, and I would say, I mean, there are very many examples in other GRCs as well. In other parts of Singapore. But what strikes me is really that sense of togetherness and the willingness to contribute and look out for one another. Because it's such a mature estate.
Yeah.
You see people just organically stepping forward, caring for one another, visiting one another.
The kampung spirit.
Literally, that was my next word.
I miss it because we grew up in Queenstown.
I see.
A very mature estate.
Yes.
And that was how it was. You know, we didn't lock our doors. Neighbors would come, give you food. And it's lovely to hear it's alive and well.
Very much so. Very much so.
So we all moved to Yishun.
So yeah, I mean, there are a few BTOs coming out, right?
Okay,
And
apply.
you got a new building of 6-7 stories with pools, swimming pools and all that's being built as well.
That's at Chong Pang. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It's public one. Or
Yes.
Yes, Chong Pang City.
Yes,
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 that's right.
it's a new one.
So there's opportunities for refresh as well. My volunteers actually inspire me a great deal. That they really care at the residence level, the residence network, residence committees. They give their time, they come for visits, they engage me as the advisor to get a sense of how we can support different families. So that's been one really lovely thing that I've come into. The second one perhaps is each time I go for MPS every week, right? And you must see me coming from a lens as a psychiatrist previously. I'm quite, as a clinician, you know, I engage with my patients, my clients, quite regularly on a daily basis. But when I started doing MPS, I realized that, wow, this really is an incredible space in the sense that you really get the rawness of the challenges, the frustrations of some of the residents. And it takes a lot for a resident to come to MPS to ask for help. And to really say, okay, you know, I need help from the MP and that's why I'm coming to his MPS today. And I take it with that lens. And each time I go for MPS, as I'm driving over to the MPS location, I always go with a spring in my step.
Oh, that's nice.
What new thing is there today for me to be able to, help my resident wayfind, to get the support that's required. And there's policy, but then sometimes people come to MPS to ask for appeals on certain things. which gap in policy is there today that perhaps we can do a bit better, or that we can lend an exception towards, because in this particular instance,
It's not
maybe
cookie cutter. Yeah,
that's right.
Everybody's situation is different.
Absolutely, yeah. And therefore, it also tells you that actually there's some flexibility in the system within reason, of course, right? And that's where, as an MP, you advocate for your residents and you make a very clear difference, to the extent possible. So that excites me every week.
Yeah, that spring in your step. But so it's more pleasure than pressure being a problem solver.
And certainly there are pressures, right? Because sometimes the emotions do come out, but it's not without basis, and you need to be able to de-escalate the situation sometimes. But that's where my psychiatric hat comes in a bit handy. And I think just that experience, I wouldn't say only the psychiatric knowledge, not only the clinical side, but also on the hockey pitch, even in school where you have differences. I did a bit of theatre when I was in university as well.
Okay.
So in that sense, the gamut of lessons that you've had in the past just inform who I am as a person. It just comes naturally, and I think that's been helpful in MPS. Yeah. So pressure, certainly there's pressure. Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for spending your morning with us.
Thank you.
And for those of you watching and listening, the Meet the People session where you live is one avenue to engage with your Member of Parliament. You can also provide feedback or suggestions on a particular government policy or issue and how we can make Singapore a better home and a cohesive society for all by connecting with REACH. Their website is at reach.gov.sg, or you can follow them on their Instagram at reachsg. This is especially for, issues, matters like education, community and social cohesion we've spoken about just now that impact you and your fellow Singaporeans. Now, REACH, if you don't know already, is the government feedback and engagement unit that engages and connects with you on national and social issues that are close to your heart. And this episode has been brought to you by REACH.
That's right. Harun, many thanks for making time to speak with us today on the Leong Forum. But before we let you go, I'm sure we'd like some closing words and thoughts, especially with regard to hope about creating a better society. What closing words would you have for us today?
For your listeners, for Singaporeans, the government's starting point is really about wanting to make sure that we do well for Singapore and for Singaporeans, always, right? Singaporeans are at the heart of what we do. But I would also say that beyond policy, beyond government, we really value the inputs from our Singaporeans, from the community, to be able to further finesse what we can do together. So like what I was alluding to earlier in the podcast, that when you get the public sector together with the people sector, together with the private sector, and we can harness the potential of all of us together, then really it makes for a better society, better community, and better Singapore moving forward. So
Tripartite. Tripartite.
In a way, not the ordinary tripartite we tend to talk about, but certainly I think the position of wanting to be able to listen, to be able to hear different views, to be able to calibrate
and able to
our
dialogue,
policy.
I think.
For sure.
I think Singaporeans sometimes go like, no, I'm right, you're wrong. They always end a sentence with right or not, correct or not, right?
Yeah.
So I think wrong.
Yeah.
You can't say that, because the moment you end with a sentence with right or not, wrong, what are you going to say?
That's right.
So dialogue, I think is so important.
Absolutely. And I mean, more than ever, we know that the solutions doesn't reside in any one particular sector. And I think if that's the approach that we take for everything that we do, then we come together more cohesive across whatever differences we may have.
Absolutely.
Whether it's the different sectors, different different communities, different groups, different interests. If we take a view to wanting to work together to find a solution that works for Singapore, then certainly the country will continue to be much stronger in time to come.
Dr. Syed Harun Alhabsyi is Senior Parliamentary Secretary for both the Ministry of Education, MOE, as well as the Ministry of National Development. And if you'd like to connect with Harun on his socials, you can. You can follow him on Instagram at Dr. Syed Harun. That's DRSYED Harun. He's also on Facebook, by the way. So if you're slightly older and still on Facebook, like we are, you can search Dr. Syed Harun Alhabsyi.
Or TikTok. So we're so glad to have you. Thank you so much once again, Harun.
Thank you.
And for those of you who want to leave comments on our podcast, we are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the YouTube channel as well. I'm Hosean.
I'm Stanley.
And we're going to see you next episode real soon. Okay? Bye.
Bye.
Bye.